Us was directed by Jordan Peele and is about a family that goes on vacation to their summer home where they discover they have evil, twisted doppelgangers that run around with scissors, so naturally, they're in for a night of spooks, doppelgangers, and some rabbits too. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Brockopp side. So, Jordan Peele finally follows up the excellent Get Out with a new horror film, and Get Out was such a fantastic movie. I really regret not seeing this in the theater when it was out. I've watched it so many times I've bought the Blu-ray, so I sure as hell was not going to make that same mistake with this movie. I was really excited for it. I bought my ticket a couple weeks in advance, and I would definitely have to say that Us does not disappoint. All the performances in this movie are fantastic. Lupita Nyong'o and Winston Duke are very strong actors who are both in Black Panther. It's kind of a little reunion, which is kind of cool. I like Lupita Nyong'o's performance in the really dramatic and scary scenes when she's being attacked by these doppelgangers called the Tethered in the movie. She just brings true fear and terror to her performance. You can see the fear in her eyes, and it is just fantastic. And then on the flip side of that, you've got Winston Duke, who is basically the comedic foil of the whole movie. You know, he has a lot of jokes, and he's a very funny character in this film. He's definitely kind of a tension breaker when scenes get really spooky. He'll crack a couple of jokes, get out the baseball bat, fall off a boat once or twice, but I think it works very well. That's one of the things I'm really liking so far about Jordan Peele's directing style when it comes to these horror films, is that he finds a good balance between the horror and comedy to make it funny when it needs to be, scary when it needs to be, and then kind of mix them together. And of course, when you mix comedy with horror, you'll definitely get creepy a few times, and this movie definitely does get very creepy. So tonally, I think the movie has got a good balance between those two and that little gray area called creepy, because there's some funny moments, some scary moments, and some downright creepy moments, and this movie definitely creeps me out. These tethered, twisted doppelgangers are terrifying. They don't even speak properly. You know, they don't speak at all, except for like one of them. They just make animal noises, which is very haunting. And there were a couple times where things get really intense. You know, after it builds up a little while, it just goes full-on horror for a bit, and I found it kind of difficult to breathe a couple of times because I was edge on my seat, glued to the screen, and it was quite the thrilling experience, I do have to say. And I like how the script is structured to where certain scenarios pay off a lot better because they're previously established earlier in the movie as a more comedic or something you're not gonna really think too heavily of, but then they come back and they play a heavier role later on. So I think those kind of things are set up very well. And on top of that, the cinematography for this movie is absolutely fantastic. You've got these really great shots. They're atmospheric. Sometimes they're right up in characters' faces, so you just see the fear or the scariness or the goofiness sometimes in their faces. There's this one shot towards the end of the film that is just so well composed. I love it so much. You know, I do kind of get the feeling it's probably digitally composited because, you know, it's got Lupita Nyong'o and then her evil twin doppelganger thing, which, you know, I don't consider that cheating or anything because that kind of thing's been done since the days of Citizen Kane, but it's shots like that are just so well done, and it just is a very well photographed movie, which I like very much because it gives you something nice to look at while you're waiting to get creeped the hell out. As a whole, the movie feels like this creepy, twisted nightmare that you're just really waiting to wake up from, and those are the kind of movies I really like because they just immerse you into this world, and you feel like you're right alongside the characters, going through all this terrible stuff with these doppelgangers trying to kill them and things, and it's like, okay, this is good, but I'd like to wake up now! But I do feel like there are some little things here and there that people are gonna really want to nitpick at, and it's gonna ruin the experience for them. Me, it really did not bother me, because if I'm just overall really enjoying a movie, I'll let little tiny things slide here and there, so I didn't even bother keeping too great a track of that. But I do feel like certain things, like maybe certain holes in logic, are going to bother some people, and maybe like how things get explained towards the end. I think the movie does a pretty good job of explaining just the right amount, but some people just might not be satisfied by that. Me personally, I think it's fine. But I think if I had any issue with this movie, it would be that structurally and just thematically, it feels very similar to Get Out. You know, it's got kind of the same premise, you know, these people go on vacation in the woods, everything seems okay to begin with, couple red flags here and there, and then one night everything just goes berserk, some really creepy things happen, the main characters go on a killing spree, and they basically escape at the end, or maybe they don't. Maybe they don't. I'm not going to spoil it. So because of that, the movie can feel a little repetitive of Get Out, which is kind of annoying, but I do feel like these two movies are distinct enough visually and storytelling-wise that it's really not super similar, but you definitely could connect the dots a little bit. But ultimately, I think Jordan Peele has made yet another really good horror film. It's creepy, it's funny, it's scary, it's well shot, it's well acted, and you know, maybe some people aren't gonna fully agree with me on that statement, but you know what? That's okay, because the only reason these things keep getting talked about is because people have different views on it. So go ahead and agree with me if you want to, or don't, it's just cool. You got your opinion, I got mine. And personally, I think this movie's quite good. So all in all, Us is kinda like Get Out 2 in some regards, but I think it's plenty distinct enough to be just yet another really good Jordan Peele directed horror movie. I kinda hope he doesn't get, like, into this whole niche of horror films, like that's the only thing he could ever do, like that's the only thing studios will ever want from him. I would like to kinda see him branch out a little bit too, and not just make these nightmarish films. You know, let's maybe see him go back to his comedic roots a little more, or maybe some kind of drama, or maybe have him take on a blockbuster or something. That being said, I'm totally down to see more horrors, so don't get me wrong, but you know what? Whatever Jordan Peele makes next, I'm gonna go see it. So, those are my thoughts on Us. If you guys have seen the movie, or if you think shadow people that look exactly like you are gonna come and invade your house tonight because they want revenge and all that goodness, let me know what you down below, and we'll see you on the Brockopp side.